used to.
Good.
Our kids are trying to.
Can't complain.
That's good muscle.
At my age, just the 1 foot stuff. Get out of bed, if you move.
You get worked up about anything, right?
Well, you know, I worked for Funeral yesterday, I'm gonna work Monday, Friday, and Saturday.
You're okay?
And I'm starting to bury my friends.
That's not good.
Is that Monday?
No, that's it.
Wednesday afternoon, I have to go. But I went to-
How are you doing, my friend?
All right, we got a braces later? We got a braces later?
So that's what not.
Is this public or is it going to be an executive, this letter?
You should rest. But if you need to do something, you can have, so you're not contagious. So if you also have 2 hours.
So we'll finally hear your voice.
At 1 p.m. So, but I was.
After the last,
Had you had the
I saw that.
No.
What I talked to you about.
Because my daughter got the flu,
Yeah.
and she had had the flu shot, but it was only 1 or 2 days done.
I heard a lot of people this year, they got the flu with the flu shot.
Because there's strain A and strain B, but it still lessens.
I'm getting one this year. for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
So what many
This is not.
That's what I said to Maddie.
But it took like these like 2.5
I
weeks.
was so
Work that in.
disappointed there.
God,
2 to 3 weeks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My wife is starting to call, sick,
Yeah.
So,
she says she feels
Oh,
like it.
God, yeah,
he says, and he knew exactly what I was
She
like.
knows. She's right.
She feels
Oh,
exhausted.
yeah,
But also she's
tough.
doing a lot more than
she's
doing more.
Oh, yeah, he can go on and on and on.
I had surgery on
We tell you
December
the story
24th.
about the time.
On December 24th?
Yep.
Yeah, it was a Rotary, yeah, Rotary. Yeah, Rotary Club, he said, yeah, when'd you get out of jail?
And put another screw in the back of my foot.
He wasn't shy.
No, he isn't shy.
Yeah.
For guys.
So what's wrong?
Wow. How you feeling now?
What's happening?
Every once in a while you get this little.
Mind if I take one of these?
Putting mark or something like that in the ankle, but other than that. it's just-
Mike, who's this LI Pack?
Statistics.
Lakewood Industrial, part of the advocacy. News organization that-
Now we started to Thursday, we're down to one project, wait on it, go forward from there.
My father just came back.
Well, they have advertised the website,
And this came with like 5 shots to go
it says
everywhere.
coming soon.
Yeah?
I wasn't sure that was like, can't see that.
Ironman things, runs like multiple
You're writing letters to industrial commission.
So it's not the greatest year, but he's good. So he's like, I do it by myself, and so it's just hangs out by himself, let's go around for a few hours and goes back.
Yeah, that's.
Free fall,
I did call him.
fractured his shoulder.
Oh, yeah, no, he'll be.
There you go. I noticed about the website.
It was like they were thinking, they have surgery there, she would go back.
Formality, I wanted to know.
Yeah, surgery.
I wasn't gonna affect it, so, I talked about it, and he was saying, no, he said, there's plenty of room in that part of it. What they're going to do is turn on the south corner of Massachusetts, Cross Street. They're gonna take a sliver. They represent the two of us. Two more houses. It's good because there's no room. I know. One time we told them that
My father's in the medical, he's got medical, femur, he's fractured femur. Maybe more.
Do they have like
He's got a
insurance
shoulder
or?
replacement, he's like, same thing, maybe. I guess they fight the medical side. It wasn't the first time for some reason, he goes, you know, he's like,
They're not fighting it at all. What they're saying is everything's okay. It's not like that. What do I'll address it. But that means you have to.
John said,
Good, how are you?
They're just going to take on on the southeast corner of the cross. And fast, I'm gonna take a sliver, I'm gonna widen that intersection.
Okay.
We talked about it, didn't work. Put two more houses at that junction. Yeah, so we did talk at one time. Sometimes it's totally Robert, the Robert truck's gonna be that way. One side.
That's right, I need to,
You said that face.
How are you, sir?
How are you?
I will double check, thank you.
You're just gonna be expected, I guess. This is Lakewood. It was very blurry last night.
Let me get my thing on. My thing out.
Hey. Carol here. Did you see that, who's here?
Time now is 11:31 a.m.
All right, let's have a flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and have a moment of silence for our service people around the world that are serving our country. And we thank them for your service. Minutes, Anita?
I'd like to do a roll call for attendance, please.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Calabro?
Here.
Mr. Lansdowne?
Here.
Mr. Hollister?
Yep.
Mr. Katz? Mr. Schuster? Mr. Stafford Smith?
Here.
Mr. Kirsch?
Okay, we have four, and that's a quorum, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
with five.
all right. Minutes.
The minutes were emailed to you yesterday for the meeting of January 8th.
Move to accept the minutes?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none? All right, the minutes are accepted. Financial statement of accounts.
Well, the statement of accounts is in your packet as a profit and loss. I'm revamping the format of the statement of accounts, so we'll be getting that to you on a monthly basis once I memorize it.
So what we're gonna try, actually, here you have it as a single P and L. And what we're gonna try to do probably in the next month or two is break it out by the various lines so we can show the airport as a standalone thing, the Strand as a standalone thing. It'll be a little bit easier and more efficient to look at the revenue and expenses of each one and to understand what's happening. But we'll get it together in the next month or two.
Okay, how many will there be roughly?
There'll probably be three, you know, because, I mean, Blue Cross is straightforward, there's not much really there, you know, we don't have any expenses on that front, thank God.
It is a pretty business man,
Yeah.
the airport and the
General.
and the statement.
Okay. Statement of accounts.
So the second is the bill list. You see the bill list is attached. Industrial Commission operations checks range from check number 3813 to number 3824. And the Strand Apartments checks, payments for services to the Strand Apartments and the Strand Building, checks number 175 to number 184.
And that's because
Move to accept the bills.
different accounts.
Second.
We can do a roll call on the
All in
bills.
favor, everybody's in favor.
No, roll
No,
call.
we have to,
You
Roll
jump
call on
in.
the bills, yes. Mr. Calabro?
Yes.
Mr. Flansbrough?
Yes.
Mr. Halverson?
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes,
Abstain from?
okay.
Here's something, 3818.
Thank you. The other item on the finance is the budget to actual report, which is in your,
Again, that won't have moved very much because we're in the second month of the year. But hopefully, if we're able to get the county in line to help us with some of the larger projects that we've been planning, and also with our planned park and ride, which I'll speak about a little bit further, you'll see a lot more movement in the budget to actual, certainly in our projects line, because that's where we anticipate making significant expenditures.
All right, finances, budget to actual,
that's done, that doesn't need action.
look at the action, all right. Move to comments from the public.
Yeah, my name is Shloime Klein. 2 meetings ago, Jack Muller came with an application to buy a parcel from the Lakewood Industrial Commission right by the entrance of the parkway. He basically wanted to build there apartments, plus a research facility. And the research facility is technically, he wants to build a shul, a bes medrash, and they presented themselves that they want to do it for BMG. We don't know if it's BMG or they're just using their name, but the issue is that industrial park does not have a residential area, and they don't have shuls or schools in that part. And they got it in by the master plan, by the recent master plan, they got in the word that industrial park should put in research facility, and now they're using research facility as a religion, as a religious place, and with apartments and everything. So again, my issue is that Lakewood Industrial Commission had their member. One of the members, Justin Flansbaum, was the chairman of the master plan, and if this was a flaw that was put in to get something, he should have been aware of it to make sure that this doesn't get abused, and now we're going to have an industrial park, potentially research facilities with apartment buildings. But this is talking about I'm just asking a question now and I'm done. Basically, an industrial park is selling a parcel of land for this research facility to build apartments, and then the next meeting came a company that had a nice building, beautiful building, that they have the parcel already next to that, and they want to build a beautiful building with a beautiful plan on the same site, and they want to buy it, and the representative of this BMG or Jack Muller came up, Mr. Pfeffer, and said we want to have an appraisal done. That means the previous meeting he didn't have an issue with an appraisal. This meeting he has an issue with appraisal. So all I'm asking you guys, I brought up the points. What I'm asking this commission is, where is this process holding? That means the public wants to know. We heard one public portion of the one meeting, one company coming in and representing themselves, and then the next meeting another company with different points coming and representing themselves. As members of the public, we look at it but we want to know what is the Industrial Commission doing about this project, as the public wants knowledge, what you guys' process of doing about it and how it works. Thank you.
I think you're directing that to me, to the board.
Yes.
And I want to not pass the buck over, pass it on to the rider.
In terms of, I think there was a characterization of Mr. Flankbaum being on the master plan committee and the planning board and his role here at the LIC. And if anybody's gonna make a decision as to whether or not a proposed development fits within the zone, it's not gonna be up to Mr. Flankbaum, it's gonna be up to legal counsel. And it's really beyond any discussion here. And Steve, if you wanna comment on the pending proposal.
Yeah, I'll just comment that we were always going to order an appraisal. And we have ordered an appraisal, and the results are not back yet. But when they come in, we will, of course, it will be a public document. So everybody will be able to see what the appraisal is for the property, and then we'll be able to engage with either of those two parties, or if anybody else comes up, that's on normal practice.
Thank you.
Well, I want to point out that we don't have to engage with anybody.
What do you mean?
But we'd like to.
We don't have to sell everything.
We're not required to sell it, but yes, of course, if people come on forward, it's our role to look to grow the value of the area. Yeah, I'm not. Anybody else in the public? Yes.
Yes, good morning, I'm Dan Sudler, Sudler Companies. I just want to follow up on a note from the Lakewood Industrial Park Advocacy Coalition that's in the back. A couple quick questions. We see that the sidewalk regulations are actually being enforced. We recently had a plan approved at 1215 Payco where we're required to put in sidewalks. And I wanted to put the question in front of the board. Is this an ordinance that has already been passed? I know that there's two sides to this discussion. Some people believe that sidewalks in the park promote pedestrian traffic, which could cause an incident. And then others think it's people are walking anyway, keep them safe. I see both sides of the argument. My side is obviously the more pedestrian traffic you have in an industrial park, the higher percentage chance you have of someone getting hurt. But my question here is this something that's been adopted?
So the short answer is yes, it was adopted a long time ago. It's not adopted specifically to the industrial park. The township adopted that township-wide. So in every zone, their requirement was to have sidewalks. What changed was that through extensive engagement between the industrial commission, which had traditionally had the position that you just espoused, and with the township committee and the changing nature of businesses in the park, the way the park exists, there is a general sense that sidewalks of some nature, we still don't know what the long-term plan will be exactly for walkways, but sidewalks are part of the ordinance, and so what you were obligated to do is not part of a suddenly new ordinance, but actually just execution of the existing. But I'm going to address everything in the LIPAC letter, but I don't want you to think that I'm gonna short shrift it. We actually
I don't think that.
will be engaging with you and
Sure.
LIPAC and whomever else is an interested party, just because there's so much dynamic shift in the use of the streets that we've already taken action in a few trouble spots to go out there, restripe the curb lines and so on.
We
to
noticed the
restrict.
curb lines, we appreciate that.
We're trying to do that, but we're also looking to have a more comprehensive strategy for new ordinances to restrict parking on the streets. And yes, we're also gonna be doing the park and ride to offset some of that casual parking that people are doing, you know, where they're parking on what they feel are remote parts of the park, so that they can, you know, carpool or whatever it is. We're trying to give them a centralized location for that, and that's going to happen here in short order. But even in advance of that, we ought to be able to take a few trouble spots and perhaps ask the township committee to enact ordinances so that we could do limited parking or no parking or something, so that we can maintain safe passage for vehicles and.
Understood, and then just to follow up on something that I brought up at the last meeting, which to that note, you know, the no parking signs on the road, we understand that you strike the corners, but is this something that's attached to the park and ride? Or is this something that can be done on its own, you know, sooner, so that?
So again, and what I'm trying to say, so look, if we take a specific spot in the park and we say, we know people tend to come here because it's kind of tucked away in a corner, right, at Syracuse Court, right? It's active, there's a lot of activity there, but if you go there most days, you'll find, early in the morning, you'll find a number of cars parked there because it's close to the parkway. People can get there, they can leave their cars and they can carpool up to North Jersey or New York or wherever it is. We don't want to suddenly be towing those cars or ticketing those cars because they're there when we're not giving them an alternative of where to go. So the plan to build the park and ride is for that. But if you go to Tobin and you find that trucks can't get through on Tobin or Swarthmore or Vassar or wherever it is, we ought to be able to take action there because that's not the dynamic that's going on with cars. It's not commuters that are looking to carpool. And some of those streets, we ought to be able to approach the township committee.
And you can't
for
enforce
action
it
sooner.
because there are no signs there, right?
there has to be ordinances. Again, once upon a time, there were ordinances, they were revised or revoked, and we need to, we already have agreement with the township committee that we're going to reintroduce those, we just need to layer it together.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dan.
Okay.
Okay, I have nothing left to report on, because that was not.
Nothing left?
No, I'll just be real quick on my report. The Scranton Building boiler replacement is in hold mode right now. We've completed all the rooftop work. Thank God, that's done. And now the second part, which is the really interesting part, is how they take apart this custom-built giant behemoth of a boiler that's in the basement. That they're probably just gonna have to, do a demo job on it in the basement and bring it out piecemeal, and then bring in the new boiler, but we can't do that until the heating season is over. So it's gonna be a spring project. We're gonna keep it on the list just so it's there and it's in our face. But we're really looking forward to having that happen. That'll be good, good for the asset, and will reduce the operating costs. The Lakewood Airport, most of you know, we were completing a grant through the state to remove a bunch of trees that were an obstruction, that were getting really hairy for people making landing approaches on runway 6, the southern end. We did it. After it was done, we got some calls from pilots about a few trees that were still standing. Somehow or other, the FAA, when they pegged it out for us, they didn't mark those specific trees, so it looked like, if anybody remembers the big W, that's what it looked like. There's 3 trees up there like that, and we had them taken down, so that's all good, and we have additional projects that are coming. Also, as most of you know, we've been engaged with some private investors and others to try and do a public-private partnership for a revamping of the front end of the airport. To facilitate that, Mr. Stafford Smith is chairman of our airport subcommittee, and I will be attending a conference on public-private partnerships to try and get more information about how these are done efficiently. In my interaction with FAA, asking them for examples, the only examples they have is where you allow somebody to come in and build a building, which is basically a utilitarian metal building, and they go into a long-term land lease with you, and at the end of 25 years, you own the building. It's really what was around 50 years ago. There isn't a lot of new thinking, at least of the people that we've been able to engage with so far, so we'll hopefully have a big report on that in the next meeting. The other thing is that everybody knows we demolished the old terminal trailer that was there for 50 years or whatever it is. While we develop our new plans, we are gathering some quotes, and we'll probably be before this board next month with a request to lease or purchase. We're looking at the different options for a trailer to go on that site during the year or two that it's going to take to execute on the public-private partnership plan. And the last item there is appraisal services, as was asked by Mr. Klein. They've been ordered. We used the guidelines that were provided by our engineer as we were requested to, and I expect to report any day. So when it comes through, it will be distributed, and that building will show up on the next meeting. Everything else I have is for closed session.
Yeah, Chairman, I just have a few items for closed session, contract discussion as well as litigation updates.
Okay. Attorney's report. Anita, correspondence.
Correspondence, you have a letter in your package from LIPAC.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll read the letter and respond to the items, and then if the board members want to weigh in on any of it. The letter reads, as the next LIC meeting is approaching, LIPAC hereby request that the following items be addressed at the meeting: road repaving. So again, we are still scheduled for the spring because the asphalt plants have to open up and so on. Do you have an update on that?
If I can, just with regards to Oak and COVID, we are on schedule to advertise mid-March, and we're expecting an award beginning of the year.
Where again, also we'll be pursuing partnership with the county as we've done in the past. If they can get in here under the Schedule C arrangement, we actually last time we got something like a 3 or 4 to 1 bang for the buck. We got a lot of paving done, and we'll look to do it on roads that don't qualify for that state grant. And if nothing else, then we can, if there's no other option, then we can work through our internal resources and try to do a paving where we need to, but even now, if there are places that pop up, you know, for example, you guys were doing construction on Oak, we had a sinkhole open up and we were able to get our public works people out there. That's always available, just give me a call and we'll go out there and do the kind of work.
I'm sorry, he said, I couldn't hear him, he said open voting in the beginning, in mid-March, and then.
Mid-March will be bidding and hopefully,
Got it, okay.
So-called late April.
Are there, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Are there like, a list of, in order of which streets will we be?
So Oak and Tobin were under a grant that we got from the New Jersey DOT.
Okay.
And those are the ones that are gonna be done. We have others that are on the list, that, you know, part of Airport Road, and now Syracuse Court is on our list for trying to do through the county. On that one, I don't have time to figure it out. So we'll report on that as it comes. But again, if there are real trouble spots, and I know I drove by Syracuse yesterday, they could still use some more patchwork, but, you know, it really needs a resurfacing, so we'll have to plan for that. The sidewalk regulations, I addressed already, no parking on roads again. What I would suggest there is maybe, if the light pack people can get together on it and give us a few options for dates, I'd be happy to sit down together with one or two of the commissioners with the light pack and go through where are the real problem streets that we want to prioritize, and right now, then we can make a different approach to the township committee, to enact ordinances, at least for one side of the street parking, or something to relieve it, so we don't end up with those bottlenecks where trucks can't get through. The park and ride, I think as soon as the weather, it's hard to say the weather breaks, because we haven't really had that much weather, but as soon as the spring construction period is in, hopefully our guys will be in there and doing it. And the last item was the walking and bike path. So, and this is where Lakewood actually applied for a grant in the context of what we were talking about, the meandering paths, the different strategies that we're trying to do to facilitate pedestrian movement without putting them in the road where the trucks are. The grant came through, but at a significantly reduced number from what we had targeted. So we've had to go back and rescale it, you know, to reduce the scope significantly, and I think what we have now is what I would call almost a pilot project. So we're looking to do it near where the park and ride is gonna go, and let's see what happens. If it actually gets a lot of use, then it may actually be a proof point that justifies the concept, and then we can go and do it in a broader way, wherever the funding is gonna end up, you know, if it comes from us or if it comes from future grants. But, you know, at least we have something to work with, so we're working with the engineering department on that, so. That's what I got for the light pack. Mr. Chairman, we're up to committee reports.
Ready? Catching up, hold on. Okay, committee reports, we have any?
Site review?
Yeah, the site review committee received a plan for review, but we haven't reviewed it yet. Site report.
That'll come, we'll carry that over to the next meeting so we can report on what their recommendations were. One other item I would say.
With the signs, with regards to the.
We're waiting for a new chairman for the science committee, so actually in that context, I wanted to say that the chairman and I had a discussion, and the chairman is appointing Mr. Halverson to fill the roles previously held by Commissioner Brooks. So Mr. Halverson is gonna go on the client review committee and the Parks and Science committee. So he and I now jumping in, both feet into the fire. So hopefully we'll get that.
I think we're next week of volunteer.
I have no comment.
Congratulations.
If there's some issues, you can touch base with Mr. Brooks, and he can bring you up to date on
That
what's
sounds like
going
a
on.
good idea.
Taking up 2 minutes.
Okay.
Marketing?
Marketing and public relations.
Okay,
All right.
I have a few things to tell you about. There is gonna be a careers fair on March 20th at Lakewood High School. 3 tables are available, and if you have a business or an organization you should go there, tell the kids what you do, they're your future employees, they're our future. So I'll give you this press release, and, as I said, they're free tables, it's a morning thing so you can still get back to work. And I would urge you to support the kids as much as possible. I went to the reorganizational meeting for the Lakewood Chamber. As you know, the Chamber represents a lot of businesses in our town. The new president, or continuing president, Justin Flansbaum. First Vice President, Stephen Mertz. Second Vice President, Julie Venor from Preferred Behavioral Health. Secretary Leonard Allen from Lakeland Bank. And the treasurer is Jason Ray from Cowan and Kentucky. I got that right. The Chamber is holding a legislative breakfast and economic growth meeting on Wednesday, March 8th at Hargate at 8:30. I want you to know that Steve and I represent Lakewood Township and the Lakewood Industrial Commission at the Monmouth Ocean Development Council, MODC, Economic Growth and Development. And we go to those meetings once a month and give a report about Lakewood. I'll be writing an article about the first student from the Lakewood Densho Dojo. He's gonna be awarded a black belt. This organization was started as, I guess, the township's efforts to help with gang prevention efforts. And the students are generally low and moderate income. So we've got a student graduating from there, it's so wonderful. And Anita and I are working on the next newsletter. I've called the president of Kulu Alcoholic Ices on Swarthmore Avenue, Mr. Tomar. And as soon as I hear back from him, we'll be writing and generating an article. And I think, Steve, you have something for me for
I
the
do, I have
report?
something new as well for the
Right,
report.
and if any of you have any press or news or anything you want out there in the public eye in here, let me know, I'm your girl. Okay.
Or me, I could have put it on First Amendment.
Okay, there you go, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No.
Anything under old, nothing, new business? All right. I think we can make the motion, go into closed session.
Move motion to close that. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays?
I'd like to read the resolution into the
All right,
minutes.
we're going into.
Lena's gonna read the resolution.
Section 7B of
Oh,
the.
you should go back over.
It's okay, I can do it. Whereas section 7B of the Senator Byron and Mayor Open Public Meeting Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting under circumstances, and whereas the Industrial Commission of the Township of Lakewood is of the opinion that such circumstances exist, and now therefore be resolved by the Industrial Commission of the Township of Lakewood and County of Ocean as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of private or confidential matters involving any of the 9 exclusions as set forth in section 7B. Said law is here to specify the nature of the subject matter being discussed is as follows. Contract negotiations, litigation. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter will be public only when the reasons for discussing an action in the closed session no longer exists. Said determination be made by further resolution adopted by the Industrial Commission, and this resolution shall take place effective immediately, 11:58 a.m.
No votes will be taken.
For operation.
No votes will be taken.
If you don't have anything.
Thank you.
Is it my daughter's